You've cooled off a little bit on other Asian markets, but you still have been upbeat on China. So this news that the government is taking steps, maybe they're not the most aggressive steps to shore up the property market, do you feel that that vindicates your position, and what will it mean for China?
Thank you so much for having me. So I think on China, we did step back a little bit post the initial rebound that we saw in January. This constructive view that we've come back, in China is more recent. And this is largely driven, I would say, based on some of the market level signals that we are seeing and also the intermarket dispersion that we are seeing. So at a market level, I would say that, valuations have been cheap, but earnings revisions seem to be bottoming out. So I think that is where the fundamental support is coming back. In fact, even on a sentiment perspective, I would say that, the bearish sentiment looks quite extreme, very similar to some of the levels that we saw last year. And some of the policy-led, support that the market could actually start receiving is also one of the key catalysts that we are looking for. But apart from that, I think intermarket dispersion is also looking quite extreme. There has been this extreme chasing of some of the defensive names in China for almost 2.5, 3 years. And that to us looks unsustainable. And that's why we are hoping for a reversal.
So in terms of your cooling off on Asia, we just saw the numbers, the trade numbers for Korea, and for the first, July 1st to 10th, exports down pretty sharply. Is that a sign of the lack of demand coming from China? And is that one of the clouds hanging over markets like Korea's?
I mean, to some extent, yes. I think when we started of the year, China reopening was anticipated as one of the key catalysts for the broader region. And we did see some of that sentiment flow through across most Asian markets. I would still say that, markets like Taiwan and Korea have been a key beneficiary of some of the geopolitical, aspect that we've seen, as well as more recently around the AI theme. But parts of, Taiwan specifically, I would say, are now looking a little stretched. So to some extent, I would say that, yes, the slowdown that we are seeing globally, including, the slower recovery that we are seeing in China, would start impacting some of these, more export-driven markets.
Rupal, when you take a look at the property sector specifically, at what point do we start seeing perhaps some opportunity? Are these levels of support that you're seeing from policymakers significant?
I mean, we generally try and not look at from a sectoral perspective. The way that we approach the market is essentially look at opportunities from an alpha generation. And we try and focus on type of stocks or, sectors that are likely to benefit because of rate cuts or, because of broader policy support. And in the context of, when China is slowly recovering, but, the global economies are still slowing down. And with that in mind, what we are focusing on are essentially stocks that are still more on the cyclical side of the market. A lot of your value names stand out. In fact, along with that, what we are also now recommending is, adding some of the high beta names. So I would say that some of them will appear on the real estate, sector as well. But apart from that, more on the discretionary side, some tech names do also stand out.
Is India too long in the tooth now?
I mean, India, again, is an interesting market. I think, the recent momentum that the market has been seeing could potentially continue for some more time. But again, I think the way that we are approaching the market is, look for opportunities where there is both valuation and earning support. And hence, we're not becoming aggressively overweight on India. We're just, trying to tag along with some of the names which have been doing well. So yes, chasing momentum seems to a reasonable strategy, at least in the shorter term, but also focus on stocks that are less volatile. We do think that, markets are not as attractive from a valuation standpoint as they were, say, a quarter back.